All right, folks, what's going on? Today's a little bit a whole new thing for me, right? We're diving into the realm of video. So, last couple of dispatches have been about first aid, right? Covered massive hemorrhage, right? Like the really severe stuff, bleeding out, stop the bleed, tourniquets, packing wounds. And then this week we're covering, the minor cuts, scrapes, tears, eyeballs, a little bit of that. But I'm out here in the beautiful Texas Hill Country. I mean, you can't beat this on public land at that. Uh, got my little dog Hewa over here. He's not actually a hunting dog, but he's just a companion. When I turkey hunt, he's super quiet. He doesn't bother me, so might as well take him. Today, what I want to do is show y'all actually what I carry in the field on my person at all times, right? So there's a truck kit, and then there's an individual first aid kit, which should stay on your person at all times, and that's called an IFAK for short. And I carry mine right here on my bird vest. This is an upland vest, but I carry a turkey hunting as well. And yeah, let me show y'all what's in here. Let me put this gun up. So, this is my IFAK, right? I got a fancy little American flag on there because it came with it. Whatever. But important thing is it should be recognizable to other people as an individual first aid kit, right? So red is always a good color, and then a little red cross, or in this case a white cross because the bag's red, is a good idea. It needs to be readily accessible, right? I mean, this is obviously all comes from a military background, but like, for me, I literally just have to undo this buckle, rip it off, and bam, I'm ready to party. This is crucial. A lot of people put these like hidden and tucked away in a backpack and whatnot, and it defeats the purpose. So I immediately dropped, for dogs, very important, wire snips. And these are legitimate, like actual, made for, even braided wire, everything else. We're out here in the field. There's a lot of people trapping, and I love trapping. I support trapping. But especially snares, which aren't that common down here, but where they are, can be absolutely life-threatening for a dog because they're literally designed, right, to go around a dog's foot or their body or their neck, tighten down, and not release again. So if a dog gets into them, yeah, I mean, they're literally, it's life and death. You got to get to them extremely quick. And the problem is even Leathermans will not cut braided wire, that snare wire specifically. So you got to keep one of these. I think this is a cheaper one. It's Amazon. I think I bought them for 15 bucks. I bought 3 of them, one in the truck kit and then one in Jeanette and my own IFAKs. Crucial. First thing, for dog handler specific first aid kits, need one of these. So next, right away, right, we got pressure bandage. So this is what's called an Israeli bandage. If you open these up, basically it has a big gauze pad and then about a 6-foot long stretchy bandage that you can like slap that gauze onto a wound and then just apply pressure immediately. These things are awesome. Then I'll get to that later. Right afterwards, tourniquet. I just realized showing all this, right, and this is part of the authenticity of this whole program, I should probably unwrap this. Yeah, there's no reason for the tourniquet to still be in a sealed container. This just takes time should an emergency happen. So I'm actually going to unwrap this and have it in here loose right after this. And this is what's also covered in the dispatch, a SWAT tee. So this is basically a very elastic rubber band that's about 4 inches wide that works on dogs specifically. It works on their limbs, but it also works on humans, right? So you can just wrap it around as tight as you can to cut off that blood flow to stop the bleed. Next, gauze. And this is what, a lot of people use combat gauze or quick clot or any of those, and those are awesome products. But I've talked to a lot of special forces medics and regular medics in my time in the military, and every single one of them, and the veterinarians said the same thing, that in a true emergency situation, it just doesn't matter. Like I've never encountered a first aid professional with real world experience at this that said like, oh, well, this person would have survived had we used quick clot. Like nobody says that. Does quick clot work? Yes. Does it help? Absolutely. Does it change whether or not somebody's going to bleed out? Almost certainly, probably not. If you pack enough of this stuff in there, regular old gauze, it'll work. You know what I mean? I carry 2 of these. These are compressed, and these are meant to be wrapped because they're sterile. But what's important, what I really do care about, is that they're Z-folded. So if I open this up, right, I can literally grab one end and start stuffing and just packing a wound and keep going and keep going and keep going. and it doesn't have to roll off, right? Because it's Z-folded in there, so it just perfectly comes out in a single string. This is crucial. Same thing, this is just regular sterile gauze. Amazon, very cheap. I think these are like $2 or $3 a piece. Got 2 of them. There's a lot of, this is compressed and vacuum sealed, right? Once you actually get this out, I mean, how long is this? So this is 4.5 yards each, right? So this is quite a bit. And then obviously I have these in addition to the Israeli bandage, which by itself is also there for wound packing. I'm gonna put this stuff down here. All right, making a mess. All right, chest seal. As hunters, I carry 2 of these. Chest seals as hunters can also be life-saving. I've been in a situation where I've actually had a hemothorax, which unfortunately a dog did not survive. But these we're dealing with shotguns, right? We're dealing with sharp sticks everywhere. Chest seals, in my opinion, are a must. And these are latex giant stickers, so to say. So if I had a puncture hole right here, and you could actually hear like as I'm breathing, air going in and out, I need to slap that thing on there immediately and shut the chest cavity. For dogs, it's the exact same thing. On dogs, it's harder because they have all that fur. So it's always a good idea to be near water or, carry water on your pack. I got a bladder in the back. Wet that fur down around, if you do have that hole in the chest, and then slap that thing on there and just try to seal it best you can. You can always improvise chest seals, plastic bags, Ziploc bags, wrappers, any kind of, like I said, plastic, even tarp, that kind of thing can work in an emergency situation. All right, similar, I have a chest decompression needle right here. I would recommend go to a actual trauma first aid course and be trained on these before you start carrying them, because if you carry them and you have no idea what you're doing and you've never educated yourself, you're simply going to be tempted to try to decompress somebody or your dog's chest and just actually do way more damage than you're doing good. So I do carry these. I've been trained on these professionally at multiple times in my career. Again, could be a lifesaver. This is something you need training for. Don't just go out and, you can buy them, they're available on Amazon, but don't buy them, don't carry them unless you're truly trained and comfortable on it. For dogs, right, it's very simple. You want to count from the very last rib. You count 4 ribs down, and then between the 4th and 5th rib is where you can technically decompress that needle, that chest, should you have it. But you really also need to know what you're looking for, which situations required, which don't. Again, take a course. That's my #1 recommendation in general. Take a trauma course. Veterinary Tactical Group is phenomenal. That's the best first aid training I've ever received in my entire life. All right, what's up, dude? So this is less so first aid related, but I carry it anyway. A tick remover, right? So let me show you these a little bit close up. So these tick removers, you slide this over a tick, right, and then they pop right out. Useful, not a first aid thing, but might as well carry it in your first aid kit because they don't take away any space. These are aluminum, they don't rust, they don't weigh anything. I think they're like $1 a piece. All right, and then last but not least, vet wrap. Vet wrap, this is, I think, just generic as well. Neogen, yeah, same thing, probably Tractor Supply and or Amazon. Applies pressure, keeps stuff clean around your bandage. You can also use these actually to splint a lot of stuff, right? If you have a broken leg, human or dog, you can use straight sticks and splint. Vet wrap's a really good one on dogs, especially for minor injuries. We're not talking hemorrhage or like massive bleeds. Minor injuries, keep in mind, if you wrap something too tight around their leg, you can cut off blood flow when you don't want to and actually cause their paws and everything to swell and cause tissue damage. So just be aware, if your dog's not bleeding out, don't wrap super tight around their limbs. You can do more damage than good in hindsight. Should you, however, apply a tourniquet in any way, shape, or form, like my SWAT T here, I have a CATS in the back of this for humans. It's always a good idea to carry a Sharpie, even if you're packing a wound or doing anything else. And then on top of the wound, just write the time. Of course, Murphy's Law, I forgot my watch this morning, terrible. But if you have a general idea of like what time it is, and you should always carry a watch, this is sort of embarrassing for me too. write it down. You know, write down the time that you applied that tourniquet. It can just simply help if it has to stay on there for hours and hours and hours. It can help the doctors later on figure out what the best course of action is, you know, how far tissue damage has occurred, that kind of thing. It's not necessary, it's not crucial, but a Sharpie is always a good idea to have, especially for if you're packing a wound. It's also a good idea to write the time down. So that way, if, you know, you want to at least know how long it took, for example, for bleeding to come through that, right? Okay, like, hey, I packed this wound 3 minutes ago and it's still coming through. I got to pack more, right? This is all useful information just to know how much, you know, or at least estimate how much blood was lost, you know, tissue damage, all that kind of thing. It's just a good idea, not a necessity. Good thing to do. All right. And that's pretty much it, folks. This kit I put together myself. I bought this bag also off of Amazon. The bag was actually very cheap and I'm surprised with its quality. This is like a $5 Amazon bag. I bought 3 of them. And then I pieced together all this other stuff. I bought essentially everything here actually on Amazon. Routinely, I train with my first aid kit, or sometimes I have to use it, like last week. And then I replace all the stuff, right? The chest seals, that's like anything that's elastic, I would pay attention to expiration dates because that stuff can dry rot and deteriorate over time. And last thing you know is a SWAT T tourniquet. You pull that thing out for the first time and all of a sudden you realize it's dry rotted because it's been there for 15 years and it snaps on you as soon as you need it. That's the worst case scenario. So pay attention to expiration dates on stuff like that. Gauze, as long as it's sealed and sterile, it ain't gonna go bad. But the elastic stuff can. And like I said, almost all of this is available on Amazon. Actually, I think literally all of it is. And that's pretty much it for an individual first aid kit. Next week, we're gonna talk about the truck kit. The kit that stays in your vehicle is a lot more in-depth, right? This is where we can treat minor injuries and all this other stuff. This right here, the purpose of an IFAK is just to get you to the truck, to the vehicle. This is simply there to prevent the dog from bleeding out, and that's essentially it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just there to make you survive. That's it. We're not trying to treat anything. We're not trying to clean anything. We're not trying to close anything up. Like, we're not trying to wash anything, flush anything. We are just making sure you're not gonna die. The dog's not gonna die before you get to the vehicle, before you can get medevac, before you can get to the emergency vet or to the ER. That's the whole purpose of this. So this is purposely lean, right? There's not a whole lot in there. Plus, you know, like I'm turkey hunting today, you know, I'm covering 10, 11, 12, 13 miles sometimes, especially upland hunting, you know, in a day. I don't want to carry, you know, 2 liters of saline and eye wash and everything else. Although I do carry eye wash when I'm upland hunting, just a little bottle. But yeah, this can be lean. You're looking at stop the bleed, massive hemorrhage, a couple of tourniquets, and especially, you know, wire snips, super important, or wire cutters rather. That's really it, folks. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. Give me some feedback. I hope the audio is not too bad because it is quite windy. And of course, you know, it's my first time ever doing this. I forgot my little, the dead kitten, the windscreen for the microphone. So yeah, folks, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me on this journey of multimedia and becoming a dog journalist. I'm excited. Little Hiwa over here is excited. He's in camo too, obviously. So yeah. Oh, and also, if you're doing something that you can take a dog with you and the dog's not a nuisance because it's well trained because you read the dispatches and you know what you're doing, take the dog with you. You know what I mean? He's not a hunting dog by any means at all. But he's super quiet. He heals perfectly. He doesn't make a noise. He's calm. Why wouldn't I take him turkey hunting with me? You know what I'm saying? All right, folks. That's it. Remember, analyze, apply, achieve. I'm your host, Justin Walther. This was the Walther Report. This was dispatch number 9. Stick with me for next week, dispatch number 10, and then let's get this show on the road, and hopefully I can shoot myself a big old gobbler here in a minute. Signing off.